used to work part-time at Spirit Halloween, which was awesome because I would get a discount on all the merchandise, which can be pretty expensive if you love Halloween as much as I do. Unfortunately, we were severely understaffed at our location, and I had to work Halloween night, which was a complete buzzkill for me, but I did have bills to pay. I tried to get through the whole shift without a sour attitude and kept my pleasant customer service face on. We were super busy the entire day because it was Halloween, and everyone was coming in for last-minute costumes. About an hour before we closed, there were these two guys that came in. They seemed young, if I had to guess, probably early to mid-20s. I saw them come in and go straight to the mask section that was in the back. To me, they looked suspicious because when they walked in, they were darting their eyes everywhere and keeping their heads low. Side note, we do deal with the occasional theft at Spirit Halloween, and I was hoping these two guys weren't going to steal anything. But after about 10 minutes of them being there, I see them both get into the long line to be wrung out. I was actually surprised to see they were going to pay for their stuff, and silently scolded myself for thinking that they would steal. When they came up to the register, they both purchased 2 masks. One was a Freddy Krueger mask, and the other was Chucky. They paid, I put their masks in the bag, and they walked out of the store. It wasn't even 5 minutes after they left when I noticed I couldn't find my cell phone. I had it right at the counter next to me at the register as I was ringing people out. I started looking everywhere for it, but I couldn't find it. I thought this just added to the misery of working on Halloween night, and now I lost my phone. Well, we finally close up and I'm heading home. I tried my best to stay in the Halloween spirit. I got home around 10:30 that night, and thankfully in my neighborhood, there were still kids outside trick-or-treating. I handed out candy for about a half an hour before it completely died down and I went inside for the night. I did my usual routine, which was to put on the original 1978 Halloween film and drink my pumpkin beer in peace. I was really enjoying the movie when there was a knock at my door. It was close to midnight at this point, which was way too late for trick-or-treaters. I went to my front door with some candy just in case it was them and opened it. There was no one there, but there was something on my front steps. It was a Freddy Krueger mask and a Chucky mask, just like the ones that I sold to those two guys. And get this, inside the Chucky mask was my cell phone. I looked up and down my block, but I didn't see a single soul. My cell phone has a lock on it, but when I clicked on it, I saw my background was changed. It was a picture of me leaving the Spirit Halloween and walking to my car. I was completely unnerved by this. I went through my entire phone to make sure nothing else was messed with. It wasn't. I have no clue how those two guys knew where I lived or how they figured out my cell phone passcode. They must have followed me home or something. I threw away the masks and went inside to finish my movie, but I did not get a second of sleep that night. This story happened when I used to work at the Spirit Halloween, and I still cannot explain what happened to this day. In our Spirit Halloween, there was this gigantic skeleton that we had on display. People loved it when they walked in. They would take selfies and do different poses with it. At the store, we even gave him a nickname because he was so famous. We called him Grim. Well, it was mid-October at this point on a Saturday, and we were closing down the store for the night. It was just me, my manager Jill, and another coworker of mine, Andy. We did all the closing duties, made sure no one was in the store, and then locked up for the night. All 3 of us were in the back break room just talking about the upcoming schedule when we heard a noise come from up front. We all go up to see what it was. We didn't see anything at first, but then we noticed it immediately. Grim, the big skeleton, was always kept at the front of the store, so he would be the first thing customers saw when they walked in. However, when we walked out onto the floor, Grim was now at the back of the store, like at the very back. Logically, we thought there must be still someone in the store, so we all split up and start checking the aisles. But as we started searching, the lights in the store started to flicker on and off. It was actually creepy as shit. Then, as the lights kept flickering, we all heard this strange laughter, almost like a kid laughing at an inappropriate joke. The lights stopped flickering and the laughter stopped. We literally searched the entire store, up and down, and no one was there. My manager Jill said let's go in the back and check the cameras to see if anyone had snuck in and moved Grim. But get this, we head to the break room where the monitors were and start to pull up the footage. But when Jill tried to, the footage was grainy and staticky, like you couldn't see anything at all. We tried our best to remove all the blurriness, but nothing worked. And the strange part was that it was only grainy from the moment that we heard the noise and thereon. The rest of the footage for the day was fine and clear. To this day, we have no explanation of how Grim was moved from the front of the store to the back, and we especially can't explain that weird laughter we heard. My personal opinion, it must have been something paranormal. Either that or it was the most elaborate prank in history. I'm inclined to believe the former. Okay, so working at Spirit Halloween definitely has its pros and cons. The pros? You get to be in a spooky environment all day long, which I love. The cons? Well, you get some creepy ass people who come in. It was late in September last year, and I was working at Spirit Halloween on a Thursday. It was a really normal day. We were busy and people were buying all sorts of spooky stuff that we sold. As it was getting darker outside, this man comes in. I noticed him immediately because the first vibe I got from him was he's either a crackhead or deathly ill. He was very skinny. I could see his skeletal frame underneath his baggy white t-shirt, and his pants couldn't even stay up with the belt that he had on. I watched this guy closely because I just didn't like the vibe that I was getting from him. We made eye contact, and I watched as he walked up and down the rows of masks and costumes that we had. Finally, as I'm standing behind the counter, he starts making his way towards me. I figured he was going to pay for something, but he didn't have anything in his hands. He comes up to me and then pulls out the Swiss Army knife. He flicks it open, leans in closer to me and says, "You know, I was supposed to do something very bad to you, my sexy lady, but I don't think I want to." The store at this point was pretty dead, and my manager was in the back, leaving me alone at the register with this creep who basically just threatened me. I was so nervous that I didn't know what to say back to him. He sees how nervous I am and laughs. He flicks the blade back in and then hands me the knife. I stand there with the knife as he walks over to the wall near us with masks. He grabs a scarecrow mask, puts it on, and then walks back to me. He puts out his hand and asks for the knife back. I was in total shock and disbelief at what was happening that I just stupidly handed the knife back to him. He then reaches into his pocket and puts a $100 bill onto the counter. He flicks the knife back out and says, "You know, reality isn't what it seems. I'm not a monster, I'm just a man." He puts the knife back into his pocket and then leaves the store without another word. Dumbfounded by what just happened, I run to the back office where my manager was. I was crying my eyes out and telling her what happened. And get this, that happened maybe around 6 at night. When I left the store after my shift, I saw that guy in his car out in the parking lot. He was still wearing that scarecrow mask. When I got into my car, he waved with the knife still in his hand. I drove home so fast. I have no idea what his deal was, but he had to be on hard drugs or was quite literally insane. Either way, I refused to take any more shifts that kept me past 6 p.m. I still work there every season, and I have not seen him since.